Hello everyone, welcome to this week's video from the Purple Penny. My name's Mark. I own and run the Purple Penny along with my wife Catherine. We do these videos every Monday at about this time, which is 12 PM Adelaide time. Try to do them every week. We miss the odd one. Only be 2 or 3 more this year, I think, with the way the dates fall with Christmas and stuff. Now, what is a Purple Penny? A Purple Penny's a coin and banknote dealer. We buy and sell coins, banknotes and collectibles. Sell them through our shop here in Mawson Lakes. We're open here Wednesday to Saturday. We also sell them through our website, thepurplepenny.com. And if you follow us on Facebook, you'd probably know that we do sell the odd thing through our Facebook page as well. Thanks again to the person who created that jingle for us. We do have another one, still waiting on getting permission on using it. It does make things a bit more interesting. Now, what do we usually do in these videos? We usually talk about the goings on in the world of coins and banknotes, and also try to have a topic of the week. This week we'll be revisiting a couple of topics that I've already looked at this year, but they're both pretty common questions and well worth revisiting. Just before we get started, we'll say a few hellos. Hello, Sam. Hello, Peter. Come on, Peter, get over the flu, mate. It's been a while now. Hello, Gwen. Hello, Jason. Hello, Robert. Hello, Kate. Hello, Ian. And hello, another Jason. Just excuse me for 1 second. Excuse me. Now, what's been going on in the news this week? We have a new release coming up on Thursday, of course. It's the baby coins, 6 coin uncirculated baby year set, made to demand. That's what unlimited mintage means. It means made to demand. Price is $55, and the mint is continuing with their $9.99 silver $5 coin, the proof baby coin instead of the proof baby set. So they'll both be available at 8 AM Adelaide time on Thursday. Next item in the news is from Peter Andrews, who supplied me with this graph late last week. We can see there the price of the 2025 silver proof poppy wreath coin, which was released a few weeks ago. These are the secondary market prices, primarily from eBay, I believe, and you can see there that the price now has fallen below $350. If you did get one of these silver proof coins from the ballot, please comment in the comments and let us know if you've got it yet. The Mint did send a message out a week or two ago saying that they weren't expecting to send these coins out until the first week in December, and today being the first day of the first week of December, it would be interesting to know if people have started receiving their silver coins yet, and if they have, just what effect that might have on the price of the coins on the secondary market. Now, right now, we're pretty close to right now, certainly this morning, silver did get to an all-time high of just under $87 an ounce, or maybe it just hit $87 an ounce. So I thought I would revisit this particular slide that we did at the beginning of October, where I was talking about how the gold price and silver price had changed so much this year. So since the beginning of October, the gold price has gone from $6,222 to $6,448 troy ounce. It's Australian dollars. So that's up 3.6% since the last time I spoke about it, and up 62.2% this year. So on the 1st of January this year, a sovereign, a gold sovereign, which is a fairly well-known gold coin here in Australia, had $935 worth of gold in it. And as of an hour and a half ago, when I did this slide, there was $1,517 worth of gold in a sovereign. So you can see there, that's $580 or $590 increase of gold value in a sovereign. As of an hour and a half ago, $86.79 per ounce for silver, so that's up 12% since this time in January this year. It's up 12% in a month since I last talked about this, and that's up 87% this year. that's pretty remarkable. It went up $4 on Friday night, $4 an ounce, which is 5% in one night. So what, in real world terms, does that have? What effect does that have? Well, around 50-cent piece, which is probably the most well-known silver coin in Australia. On the 1st of January, there was $15.77 worth of silver. A month ago, when I spoke about this, it was $26.36, and right now it's $29.50. That's a lot. It's gone up a lot. I don't know why. I don't profess to know why. But if you have been accumulating silver, then kudos to you. A few more hellos before we keep going. Hello, Catherine, who is catching up on the mail out there. Alan, another Peter. Robert Remus says that silver right now is 87.70. Alan says he won the ballot, but he still hasn't received only excuse email so far. And Graham, I would just say, if you got the coin, silver coin in the ballot, you should be happy, and you will get it. And if you don't have it yet, then I really wouldn't be worried about it. It will arrive, and you'll get the coin that you want. If you did get it in the ballot and you're planning on reselling it, and you're watching the price drop, and that makes you cross, well, too bad. You know, that's the way it works. That's why the Mint's running the ballot, stop people reselling these things. Next item in the news is from Catherine, who supplied me with this one. Thank you, Catherine. She's been very helpful the last couple of weeks with supplying me with news stories. Just last week, a Spanish 1609 100 escudos, known as a centon, graded by NGC as AU58, sold at auction. You're wondering how big this coin is? It's got 339.35 grams of almost pure gold in it. That's a lot. That's a lot of gold in one coin. It sold last week in Switzerland for 2.8 million Swiss francs, which is 5.4 million Australian dollars. And that's a world record for a coin sold in Europe. It's the most expensive coin ever sold in Europe. And if you're wondering if this coin was made for circulation, no, it wasn't. It was a presentation piece struck on behalf of the Spanish king. It was a symbol of power and wealth, and was probably gifted to someone incredibly important. It was missing basically for 300 years. No one knew where it was. It resurfaced in the 1950s in the USA, and its provenance since then is well known. So there's a fairly significant numismatic event in Europe this week. The most expensive coin ever sold at auction, a 340 gram gold coin minted in Spain, in Segovia, the town of Segovia in Spain, in 1609. Pretty remarkable bit of news, that one. Next item in the news. 2 Victoria Crosses were put up for sale at Nobles auctions last week. Victoria Cross is, of course, the British Commonwealth's highest award for valour. The 2 crosses that were available for sale, one was awarded to Robert Beetham in World War I. It was awarded posthumously. It was awarded to his wife in 1919 by King George V. Robert Beetham was awarded this in the Battle of Amiens in August 1918. That had an estimate of $500,000 on it. And more recently, an Australian soldier by the name of Daniel Kieran put his complete group of military medals up for sale, including his Victoria Cross that he was awarded in 2020. The last 3 Victoria Crosses awarded to Australians have been Victoria Crosses for Australia. They've been marked differently. This is the first one of those to have appeared on the market. Daniel's group of medals had an estimate of $800,000. You might wonder why Daniel might be selling this. It's because Daniel, other than being incredibly brave, and more so than almost anyone, is still a regular human being like you and I, and has money problems, and has an elderly parent that he needs to go into a home, and he needs money to help himself out. unfortunately was passed in. I do hope that a buyer comes forward for Daniel's metals, and Daniel can find his way forward from there. So if you happen to have $800,000 laying around and you want to buy Daniel's metals and then donate them to the War Memorial, then I encourage you to come forward and do so. Now, Aaron has just joined in. Hello, Aaron. Aaron is the composer of the song that we've had playing for the last couple of weeks. So thank you, Aaron, for composing that song that we're using in the intro to the videos. A couple more hellos. Hello, Daryl. Hello, Christala. Hello, Warren. And hello, Adam. Thank you all for joining in. Now, I thought today I'll just revisit the topic of selling a coin collection. No, I won't. I'll do one more bit of news first because it's cool. A metal detectorist a few years ago found a gold ring next to Bushwood Hall in Warwickshire. And it's a little tiny thin gold ring. And you can see it's decorated on the outside and there's an engraving on the inside. And the engraving says, "Your friend indeed." But instead of indeed, I-N-D-E-E-D, it separates the word in and deed, suggesting that whoever this was given to them by a friend, and they were a friend by deeds, by actions. Now, why is this significant? Well, Bushwood Hall in Warwickshire was the birthplace of Robert Catesby and was the family home up until the early 1600s. Who's Robert Catesby, you might ask? Well, Robert Catesby was the ringleader of the so-called Gunpowder plot, which was a plot to put barrels of gunpowder into English Parliament and blow up the Parliament along with the King. One of the people involved in that plot you may have heard of, called Guy Fawkes, and you can see that Guy Fawkes mask to the right there, and that's still used these days as a symbol of, I guess, rebellion to government. The ring itself is what's called a posy ring, and posy rings in the 1600s were given by men to other men as a sign of friendship. And you might be wondering, why is this significant? Well, in 1605, Bushwood Hall was actually still being used by Catesby as a area to cache gunpowder and weapons for his plot. So, you know, it is kind of assumed that this ring was probably given to a member of the gunpowder plot by another member of the gunpowder plot and lost while they were working in the hall. So this ring has an almost certain connection to one of the most famous events in British history. And if you're kind of my age, you might remember the fireworks day in November, where you would go to primary school and there'd be a bonfire and fireworks. And of course that was Guy Fawkes Day, and that harks back to the gunpowder plot. That tradition here in Australia has died off, but you know, being my age, I can remember it quite clearly in the 1980s, still happening at schools, with a bit more of a focus on English heritage here in Australia. The ring sold last week for £10,200, which is pretty remarkable. So whoever paid for it decided it had a link to the gunpowder plot too. What does a posy ring of this era usually sell for? £400 or £500. So this has gone for 20 times that amount. What a remarkable find. I know it's not a coin, but what a remarkable find. I can't get over that these things were dropped and found. Probably not as important as King Henry VIII's love token that I talked about a few weeks ago, but still a remarkable thing. Now, topic of the week is selling a collection. I have done this a few times before, but I thought I'd just rehash it because a few people have asked me. So selling a collection, is it saleable? This is the most important thing that you should ask yourself. For every collection that comes in here in the shop to be sold, I would say that 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 is actually purchasable, and that's because most collections are just collections of common decimal coins. They're commemorative decimal coins, commemorative 50-cent pieces, commemorative dollar coins, commemorative $2 coins, but 3 out of 4 collections that come in here are that, and they are simply not saleable at all. because people with patience and the ability to get coins out of the bank can find most of those coins if they've got the patience for it. I will skip over some of these things just because I have done this before about 5 or 6 months ago, so you can go back and reread. You can re-watch this on YouTube if you want to. Before you do decide to sell a collection, if you decide it is saleable, you should perhaps evaluate the market conditions. So, for example, at the moment, the market for Australian tradesman tokens is quite down. So if you had a collection of those, you may choose to sit on that collection until the market picks up on it. One of the major auction houses here in Australia, for example, is going through some troubles at the moment, and they have a very specific type of material that they specialise in, and there really isn't anyone else here that does a good job of that stuff yet. So if you are sitting on the sort of stuff that particular auction house specialises in, you may decide to hold on to that until one of the other players in the market builds up their strengths in that area. It's contingent on you to do your own price research on things, to give yourself, I guess, comfort that any offers that you are made on your collection are fair, because there are buyers everywhere, and people with bricks and mortar shops, and people online, and supposedly collectors who supposedly have your best interests in mind, that if they think they can get a bargain, then they will. So it is up to you to do your own research. Obviously, you need to be aware anyone who's going to buy a collection generally wants to resell it, so they do need to make something out of it, but it doesn't have to be a ridiculous amount. Should you get rid of your collection via one channel or many? So, for example, you might choose to auction some of it, sell some to a dealer, and sell some yourself directly to collectors. You've got to decide how quickly you want to get rid of things. That can be a strong driver of the channel that you choose. So the 3 channels that you choose are: you can do it yourself, sell it directly to collectors, you can sell it through an auction house, or you can sell it through a coin dealer like us. Now, if you are going to do it yourself, you're going to do it face-to-face or via social media or via eBay or some other auction site. This method will generally net you the most dollars, but it is going to incur the most work because you have to do everything. And it's not an insignificant amount of work selling a collection and packaging it up and so on and so forth. We've been here since 7:30 this morning, and it's 12:17, and she's still mailing the weekend's orders. So, that's 5 or 6 hours of work just packaging things up. You don't get paid for that. You'll find, if you do sell things yourself, that you come into the coin dealer's conundrum, which is that the good stuff sells easily, the common stuff sells very slowly, and the common stuff is very price sensitive. What does that mean? It means that if you have a 1985 proof set and you list it on eBay for $45, it probably won't sell because there's already 30 other 1985 proof sets on eBay for $45. So what you'll find yourself doing to move this stuff along is dropping the price. It's really the only thing you can do when it is a crowded market for a particular product. And you'll find, just like we do, that the only way to get rid of them is by selling them for a very low price, because 1985 proof sets and many other products released by mints around the world are readily available and very common. Now, you can choose to sell your collection to a collector in one lot. Why would you do that? Well, it means it's over and done with quickly. But the chances are, if you do that, you're going to get less dollars. Now, obviously, after you are selling yourself, you need to be careful if you're going to be doing it face-to-face, because, there's a large amount of cash involved, so you may wish to conduct a transaction in a bank or in a police station or something like that. If you are going to mail your products, then you need to be careful to choose the correct postage type, the correct payment type. You need to be aware of fees taken from your sales results from eBay and PayPal and things like that. Now, what do I mean by the correct postage type and payment type? Well, if you sell through eBay and you accept PayPal and you choose the wrong postage type, then the buyer can choose to lodge an item not received request with eBay and get their money back, and you lose your item and your money. So, and that's contingent on you to get that right. No one's going to hold your hand, because of course you're doing all the work to try and net most of the financial gain. If you sell through auction, you've got to choose the right auction house. And you may remember a story a few weeks ago. Sorry, I'm just having an operator error here. You may remember a story a few months ago about a gentleman who had 1930 pennies, and he decided to sell them through a local small auction house that really specialised in general merchandise. And of course, the 1930 pennies went missing. It's not 100% clear they actually existed in the first place, but they did go missing, which isn't great. But I would question why you would sell key date valuable coins like that through a general auction house. You would certainly think about shipping them to one of the big auction houses in Queensland or New South Wales or Victoria, rather than selling them along with used appliances and used tools and household goods. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And even furthermore, you would choose an auction that would specialise in the type of coins that you have. So what I was saying before about the auction house in New South Wales having some difficulties, they very much do well with European coins, ancient coins, tradesman tokens, things like that, more so than any other auction house here in Australia. So if you did have those types of coins in your collection, a significant amount of them, at the moment it is a bit unclear about what the best channel to sell those things is if you choose an auction. For some coins, you may choose to ship them overseas. The best solution might be to sell them through an international auction house. Of course, the auction house has to be interested in them. Even local auction houses aren't interested in everything. You have to figure out how to get them there. You can box them up and send them. Some auction houses offer services where they'll send a shipping agent to you and box up the items and ship them directly to the auction house. Sometimes people travel to the auction house and hand deliver the items. Auction houses have to make money too, and that means that they might have minimums on lot value. They're not going to want to auction 100 individual circulation $2 coins in 100 lots. They may be quite happy to do them in one lot of 100. And of course they're going to have fees then. There's going to be lotting fees. There might be a fee of $5 or $10 per lot. There'll be a commission when you sell it, and that could be a minimum as well. So it might be 16% with a minimum of $10 per lot. And then of course there is fees on the other side. Buyers pay fees as well. So, what does that mean? It means that if you are selling through a big auction house and you don't negotiate a better seller rate, you could easily see 40% of the proceeds end up in the auction house's coffers rather than in yours. And often for many items that's more margin than a bricks and mortar coin dealer will make out of something. So if you are going to deal with an auction house, make sure that you do negotiate a better deal on seller fees if they are negotiable on it. It is incumbent on you to do that. They probably won't volunteer, of course. You're not going to get paid quickly through an auction house because, of course, you have to wait for the auction to complete. And for some auction houses, they won't pay out until they've received payment. There are payment complications. We've dealt with an auction house before that paid us and then wanted money back when the buyer reneged on the deal. So, that can happen. We've had some bad experiences before with auction houses with items going missing. And of course, because a lot of auction houses are only remote these days, there is bidder uncertainty for auction houses who have less credibility in the market. What do I mean by bidder uncertainty? I mean on condition, grade, authenticity, and things like that. There are some local auction houses here in Adelaide that will refund bidders if an item is found to be fake. There are some local auction houses that just say too bad. If an item turns out to be fake, well, that's your problem, not theirs. So, that is always going to lead to uncertainty amongst bidders and that means you might not get the money that you're expecting. The final channel is through a dealer like us, and this is how we get most of what we sell. About 80% of what we sell we buy off of collectors. The other 20% is a mix of Royal Australian Mint new release product and things that we buy off of other dealers. So this is really our bread and butter. This is how we pay our bills and pay our wages and pay Jared and pay Sebastian. The trouble with selling to dealers is there one nearby? Here in Adelaide there's really only 2 real coin dealers. There are gold and bullion buyers that will buy gold and silver coins off of you. Often they won't pay very good prices, or they won't know what it is that they're looking at. So for example, if you were to take a Sydney Mint Sovereign in good condition to a gold buyer here in Adelaide, they would probably quite happily pay you $1,480 or something for it, which is kind of the going rate for a bullion sovereign here in Adelaide. But if you bring it to us, we'll evaluate it from a collector point of view and pay you more for it. And that's just how it works. Secondly, are dealers interested in your collection? As I've said already, I would say 80% of the collections we see, we are not interested in. That's because A, they're not saleable, or they comprise so many low value items, and I mean items worth less than $5, that we simply can't afford the labour involved in processing and making those things ready for sale. It does cost us, our time costs us money. So, you know, we can't pay $6 for an item that's worth $8. It's just not worth our time, so we won't buy it. We just won't buy it. Will they buy all of it? Some dealers won't buy all of the collection that they're offered. They'll pick out the things they know they can sell easily and hand the things back. What percentage of retail are you going to be offered? Well, for us at least, it depends. Gold sovereigns, it's 95% of retail if they're a bullion sovereign. If it's a 1985 proof set, as little as possible, because we've already got so many, you know, so half of retail value, something like that. But it's certainly not as easy as some people seem to think, that we double our money on everything. We absolutely do not double our money on everything. We do on some things, but you know, that might be because I've already got 120 1985 proof sets, whereas gold we can sell quite quickly and we make a very small margin on it. The advantage of working with a dealer is you get paid quickly and it's settled quickly. Certainly with us, if we choose to pay you with cash, it's settled immediately. Otherwise it's via bank deposit and it's usually settled within 48 hours. But if you do sell to a dealer, you are likely to get paid less for more common material, because most dealers have a large stock already of common material. Right, I hope that's, going over that again, I hope that's been useful for some people that are watching out there. Always happy to answer questions about this sort of stuff. Always happy to answer questions about why we won't buy Charles and Diana 50-cent pieces and Parks dollars and that sort of stuff. And you know, we have a script that we follow, and we hope that logic makes sense to most people. There's no point getting upset that we won't buy it. We're not obligated to buy everything, and we do try to explain the reason why we won't buy things, rather than just shoving the stuff back at you and saying we won't buy that. We do try to educate everyone that comes in here, and hopefully everyone takes something away after they've spoken to us. So yeah, that's buying and selling your own collection. A few more hellos and then we'll wind up. Hello Brett, and sorry, my mouse has stopped working. Michael, Chris, Todd, Mick, Bevan, Brett, Tom, Yusuf, Rand and Stuart. Thank you everyone for joining in. If anyone's got a topic they'd like me to cover next week, then feel free. If you've got a Roman coin that you want me to identify, feel free to send me through some pictures and I'll do my best of that. For that, people seem to enjoy that when I did that a few weeks ago, and I enjoy it myself, and I'm always looking for enjoyable things to do when I'm here. Thank you everyone for joining in. Happy collecting everyone, stay safe, and we'll see you next Monday. Bye for now.